Monday, the 20th, which, man, we are flying. It's almost through the first quarter.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy what time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah, I'm having fun. There's an interesting article. I think we'll get to it, but CEO of Zillow started talking about his perspective, and the headline of the article reads, "The real pain is probably coming." And I'm thinking, man, well, we always talk about clickbait on here, but his perspective was really interesting because he's talking about how exciting it is to lead, to be a leader in times of adversity, how exciting it is to go win when your hard work, your grit, your determination caused you to win when everybody else was sitting on their thumbs, right? So I don't know. We'll get there. All right, let's roll. Here's that article. It says Zillow CEO Rich Barton, the real pain is probably coming. And it talks about how holding cash is really good. And he says, I actually love a storm. And a lot of people are swimming naked right now. I'll let you comment on that one, Dustin. What's that mean?
Yeah, I mean, they just don't have the tools they need to succeed in this market is really how I took that. A surfer doesn't go out on the ocean without his wetsuit, and they usually gotta have some sort of tool or equipment with you. And if you're out there just blindly doing your craft, then you're gonna blindly see the resuls.
Or no results.
Yeah, exactly. And
yeah.
So really it's just saying, hey, lace up, kind of goes back to the skill-based market that we keep on talking about. It's like there is adversity. You have to get off the sidelines. And if you want to thrive in this market, then let's go.
Yeah. He's talking about, hey, speaking of his work, mentoring young entrepreneurs, he talks about trying to act as a ballast weight during good and bad times. And the truth is, if you're in business any length of time, you're going to go through up cycles, you're going to go through down cycles. We're just coming, I don't even know if we're in a down cycle. It's a weird cycle. It's probably a better way to say it. But anyway, we'll jump in. One thing I wanted to start off with today, Dustin, which I thought was interesting. We, on the realestatestats.com, Dustin, you've got the password. I don't like to publish it, so people's got to get it from you. But this little comment right here. So the average sales price increased $7,200 from January to February. So we're still seeing prices go up. A year ago, the median price was $402. In February, it was $435 for an 8.2% increase year over year.
Yep.
That just kind of flew by me when I first looked at these charts, and I went back and I started studying it going, man, we are still experiencing price appreciation and good price appreciation.
Yeah, no, it's still a great market here in the DFW area. The prices are still going. I feel like there is a standoff between the buyers and the sellers right now. And, buyers are trying to think that it's a buyer's market when in fact it's still very much a seller's market. The inventory is just low and there's more buyers out there looking. So yeah, we're going to continue seeing gains, especially going into the spring, in my opinion.
Oh, I think we're going to see price improvement, price appreciation all the way through to the summer. Anyway, let's jump in. So Rockwall County looks different than the others. And I find that interesting. So 108 active listings, we're kind of coming down in active inventory, which means prices are going to get tighter. The market's going to get tighter. There's less to buy. Dependent demand, which you can't graph demand on here, but my guess is demand's going up and inventory is coming down, which is just do nothing but drive prices up again, right? So just understand the relationship between the two. Active opt-in 27 is a good number. 50 pending is a decent number compared to where we've been. But we had an off week in closings. We only closed 37. Normally, well, you could see 35, 35, 49, 36, 65, 65. So maybe we just had 2 big weeks, the first 2 weeks of March, and we went back to that 37 closing ratio. It's interesting. 8 on hold. I found that interesting. So it's good to watch. Once again, the sales kind of tapered off. You see that, but the previous 2 weeks were way higher than we've been trending on the green line for a while. I still see inventory. You know, if you pull this over, we're kind of low in active inventory right now, which is going to translate to multiple offers, price appreciation, that whole thing. What's the message? Be aware, if you're consulting buyers, you need data to back up why they're paying what they're paying. You can show it here. And 2, it is absolutely the right time to sell your house, and we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, no, it's I've heard a lot of like, oh, I have buyers, and, and you hear the agents talking about there's just more buyers out there right now than listers, because they're sitting on those interest rates. So, but now it's still a great time to, people still have to move. You have the D's, divorce, death, dependents, deployments. All those D's are still in effect, and it's still moving into the moving season. So it's still an opportunity to let your sellers know that they still have an opportunity to catch in on some equity here.
All right. So remember, I said Rockwall looks a little different. The closing number went down this week in Rockwall County, but if you jump over here to Dallas County, the closing number actually held, right? So maybe it was just a fluke in our county. 827, we're still on a downward trend of inventory in Dallas County. 358 option pending, 440 pending, which healthy, 374 on the closing column. Pretty decent stats there for Dallas County. If you look at Collin County, 533s. So inventory down, up. 176 looks to be a healthy number. 288, and the pending is down. Oop, my cursor always does that. We're down in pending contracts in Collin County, but closings they were down last week and came back up this week to 280. So maybe not totally different, but what do you see in these numbers?
Consistency over the last couple of months. I mean, it doesn't look like it's too far off. It's been stable.
Yep. It's stable, but tightening. If you look at, this is Collin County, so inventory is kind of holding in Collin County. If you go to Dallas County, I mean, it's a larger county, but it looks like it's on a downward trajectory in inventory, right? Rockwall County is much more drastic. You can see that number coming down. If we jump out to the lake, 93 active inventory. So there's plenty of lake houses to buy. 12 option contracts, 13 pending, and then 20 closings. So they had a spike in closings last week, still holding at 20. They don't normally have 20 closings in a week out in Henderson County. So these are good spring numbers for the lake market as well. What do you make of it?
Yeah, they're definitely increasing in their inventory. So you definitely see a different market at the lake right now.
100%, right? All right. So I found these articles interesting. Said, here is the exact date to list your house in Dallas, Fort Worth. And I would love to see the analysis behind the exact date. But here's what it says, and I find it crazy. March 26th, a Sunday, is the best date for a home to hit the market in North Texas. And in contrast, April 16th is Austin. Woodland, Sugarland, and San Antonio is April 23rd. May 7th is Birmingham, Alabama. But Dallas, Fort Worth is May 26th. And here's what sellers can expect during the week of March 26th. An average list price 5.1% higher than this at the start of the year, 36% more views versus an average week, 28% less in price reductions compared to an average week, 8 fewer days on the market, 23 fewer active listings to compete against. We just showed that. I think it's really interesting. And Dustin, every agent should be using this language all this week, consulting people around listing their house. I would send this article to every seller on the fence. I would use this language in all my prospecting. I might even tailor my social media post to quote this week, because it's a unique opportunity. Next Sunday is the 26th. So you only can say this week. Right?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. Yeah, I mean, March 26th. I did find this interesting as far as how they came up with that date. So,
yeah,
right.
Yeah. But nonetheless, they're using the data out of the MLS to prove it. And you know, here's the thing: whether it's true or not, call it true, and go use it as a lead generation tactic. Right.
Right.
Dallas News said the best time to sell your DFW home is approaching fast. Reports say even in a slowing housing market, real estate agents are preparing for a busy spring. Here's a same thing. The best week to list your home, according to Realtor.com, is March 26th. So you now have 2 articles that say this is the week to get everybody off the fence and list their house. What you gonna do about it?
Yeah, I mean, hey, leverage both of the articles. You know, like if you have that person that's on the fence, or like you said, or you know that they're planning on selling, or they're trying to debate whether or not they want to rent it out, or whatever that looks like. Use this. Like, hey, this is coming up. This is approaching. Would love to have the opportunity to talk to you about what this article says and what this could mean to you.
Yeah, all day long. But remember, it's one thing to know this, but the other thing is to use this stuff for lead generation to go put money in your pocket, right? All right. Can we get weird for a second? So artificial intelligence, what's your experience thus far? Are you playing with this Chat GPT?
You know, I play with it a little bit, you know, just to see what it's going to spit out. And, you know, there's a lot of good information that comes from it for sure. You know, I've definitely asked some questions that I was like, let's just see what it has to say about this, and or 10 viewpoints on this subject. And, you know, I couldn't think of 10 ideas if I needed to come up off the cuff and, you know, just write that down as fast as Chat GPT can do that. So yeah, there's definitely some benefit to it. And this article talks a little bit about the time, you know, just making sure that it's of value to you. You know,
yeah.
I think you use the property description as an example. You know, if it takes you 5 minutes to write up a property description, it might not be the best tool to use, but if it takes you 4 hours to write up a property description, this is a tool that you can leverage. So just,
it's basically, think about all the hours you spent in a dorm room, writing essays, right? And thinking about what to say versus saying, hey, write me an essay on this. Yeah. And like college classes obviously have got to be crazy different these days, but there's a couple in here. So Chat GPT is kind of the big one, right? If you're going for optimized content and a higher Google ranking, Wholesale lifting from Chat GPT means that your rent versus buy article or another piece of evergreen content will be identical to everyone else's. So Google's not going to necessarily rank you well because you're asking the same question as everybody else. So you need original content to be ranked. But some things like writing a listing description, you're not looking for a ranking on that. I used it yesterday. Somebody was asking me for a testimonial on a seminar I attended, and I couldn't get my brain wrapped around what I wanted to say. So I went to Chat GPT and typed it in, and boom, I had the most amazing testimonial that was like it was my words. And I was like, I would have said that. Let's go. And I didn't know it took me 5 minutes, right? So yeah, there's some of that in there. Figure out whether you're really saving time. In that case, I saved time, right? But I can imagine some people playing with this stuff and it just being a time trap, right? Figure out whether you're playing it safe by using AI. Here's what I wanted to get to. So Chat GPT is obviously the number one tool. Jasper AI for content creation. I've not played with this one. Have you played with this one?
I have not.
It's geared towards professional use with a price tag to match, but it also provides many more tools and resources than most of the other platforms. Grammarly for copy editing. I have played with that. It certainly is. If I was writing a bunch of newsletter articles or much more long form content, this is certainly a great tool. Bing for AI powered search. I've not played here. Have you played here?
No, I haven't. The only ones I've really played with are the Chat GPT, and then and there's also one on Canva.
Yep. I do use otter.ai, and otter.ai is a transcription tool. So I could sit in a class and I could turn on my Otter AI and it'll transcribe everything it hears. So I don't have to take notes. Or I could have it show up to this call and it'll transcribe everything you and I say. So I don't have to take notes, right? It's kind of crazy. And of course, chat bots and DALL-E for AI generated images. It gets a little crazy. I found this video and it's called Sheet GPT. Somebody sent it to me over the weekend. And basically, it's a plug-in for Google Sheets connected to Chat GPT to where it'll fill out your entire Google Sheet with content for like 2 weeks worth of social media posts. It is wild and crazy. And I'm happy to share, but it's Sheet GPT as an add-on to Chat GPT. And Dustin, we're in jeopardy of sounding smart here. Right?
Yeah, no, and I think you said it perfectly just a while ago. Is sometimes it's hard to kind of get your mind like, what is it you're thinking about, what you're just doing, or you're thinking about another project, but just kind of get your mind right, just to be able to play with some of these tools to just snap it in, because once you type it in there, it can give you some bullet points to really then be creative with it, to have original content. So
right. All right. Lennar keeps home sales moving with lower prices, incentive offers. Are we seeing that yet? Are you seeing builder incentives?
I could say that, I'm not sure if I've seen so much of them from Lennar, but there's definitely builder incentives out there.
Yeah.
All around us.
So this saying Lennar sold more homes in its fiscal first quarter despite a national slowdown in home sales, as the company lowered prices and offered incentives to keep buyers closing. The executive chairman said the housing market is facing rising volatility and interest rate hike that have made homes more expensive for buyers. The housing market is still looking for a bottom in price stability, he said, which I agree with this statement. We don't have price stability right now. It's a little unstable, and we're looking for basically normal, right? We're looking for normal. And here he goes. Miller believes the buyers will eventually recognize the new normal, that higher rates are here to stay. I said this about gas prices. They go up, everybody gets upset and ticked off, and they post about it on social media, and then all of a sudden we're all filling our tanks up a week later.
Mm-hmm.
Interest rates go up, we're all upset. We post about it on social media, and then all of a sudden everybody's buying houses with those interest rates later on. It's gonna happen. But at the end of the day, I think it's interesting to pay attention to builders, because I don't think builders want to scale back production like they did in the past, because it takes them too long to get back to the market share. I think they're just going to lower their profit margins. And he even talks about that here. And I'd have to go dig in to find it, but he talks about how he's making his investors not, here we go. We sacrifice gross profit margins to generate sales. So they're okay pushing the sales through and playing with the profit margins because it's important for them to keep market share, especially with the large production builders. Which, who wins in this conversation, Dustin? The real estate agent probably gets an extra incentive. The buyer probably gets an extra incentive. There's probably some creative stuff with buy downs of interest rates and all kinds of stuff. So it's something to pay attention to around new construction going forward. I think the small builders are going to hurt because they're so used to their profit margins. The big builders can keep production going and take less of a profit because of the way they're structured. Make sense?
It does.
Investors bought 1 in 4 homes in Dallas-Fort Worth last year, and they were not the big firms. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked when I saw this. I mean, I wouldn't have ever guessed that investors bought up 1 in 4 homes for sure.
Yeah. Huge. Do you have an investor pool in your database? Do you know how to talk to investors? Do you know how to prospect for investors? How do we find the other 25% of the market? If you're not dealing with investors, you're missing 25% of the market. Make sense? And then I'm going to go back to what we started with, which is Rich Barton's comment. The real pain's probably coming. Yeah, that's clickbait, but the truth is there's opportunity in every market. And the question is, how do we go find opportunity? I think it's the 25% investors. I think it's all the articles we brought to the table today. How do you use that information to go get more business? Dustin, I'll give you the last word.
Yeah, no, you didn't get to it, but there's the article of 7 reasons agents are failing right now.
Yeah, I think we need to hold it for next week. We'll never get through it.
Yeah, no, I mean, but yeah, no, it just comes back to don't be afraid to go out there. You have to do something that's different than what you've been doing in your business over the past year. There's opportunity out there. You just got to find it. And
yeah, why don't you tease this and go over it at team meeting tomorrow?
All right.
There you go. Happy Monday.
Thanks, Brett.